Hi friends, welcome. I'm Ashley and I'm a longtime cochlear implant recipient with profound hearing loss. I'm also the mom to a beautiful little boy named Henry who has severe to profound hearing loss, and he is also a cochlear implant recipient. I couldn't be happier to share our story with you as a multi-generational cochlear implant family. There aren't many of us out there because cochlear implants just haven't been around for very long. Our son Henry, we call him Hankster, was diagnosed with hearing loss when he was a newborn, and as we went through the process for him to receive hearing aids at 2 months old and eventually bilateral cochlear implants at 9 months old, I knew I wanted to create a safe and inspiring space where parents and experts can come together to share knowledge and resources, tools, experience, and even support to talk about hearing loss, parenthood, and so much more. All of this with a continuity of insights from me as both a cochlear implant parent and a cochlear implant recipient herself. So, if you're a parent like me who wants to educate themselves on hearing loss, cochlear implant surgery, and how to best support and understand your child, you came to the right place. Helping babies and children learn to listen is truly a community effort, and I'm so grateful to the many advocates and worthy causes out there impacting the lives and worlds of children with hearing loss. Thank you for what you do. You are so appreciated. Come along and follow our journey as we share sneak peeks into life raising Hankster, my experience as a marketing executive in the healthcare technology field and as an adult with profound hearing loss since childhood, and also one-on-one interviews with experts in the field and family stories and all of that. But before we start diving deeper into this area, I'd love to share a little bit more about myself to help you get to know me better. In early 2022, when Henry received his bilateral cochlear implants at 9 months old, he is the same exact age as I was when I was first diagnosed. Henry's dad, my husband Ian, has normal hearing, and prior to my hearing loss diagnosis as a baby, our family had no history of hearing loss. My brother, my parents, and extended family, all normal hearing. The year 2022 also marks the 30th anniversary of me receiving a cochlear implant at age 3. I was one of the very first young children at that point to receive a cochlear implant in the country. And for those familiar, what I received back in the day was the internal Nucleus 22, which amazingly still works today. Over the years, I was able to upgrade my external processors, and I now had the latest Nucleus 7 behind the ear processor. Big shout out to Cochlear for supporting their longest standing recipients with periodic upgrades that are compatible with our archaic internal implants. They're basically dinosaurs by now. As a child, my original processor was a clunky box that was secured in a super sexy fanny pack. Or, just as appealing, a little harness that sat under my clothes against my body with a wire snaked under my clothes from the box up to the ear hook and the magnet. Never in my wildest dreams as a child did I imagine that the equipment would eventually make way for a discrete wireless behind the ear processor that could stream audio and music from a cell phone. Back then, cell phones were just starting to come on the market. Do you remember those huge brick portable phones from the early 90s? Not to mention, swimming was out of the question with those original processors, and we were advised to be careful with rain, sweat would cause issues, and all of that. But fun fact, I was a competitive swimmer from ages 5 to 18, and I could never hear a thing in the pool for practices or swim meets, but that story is for another video. As a young child, my first language was sign language, but specifically signed exact English, which means that you sign each word as you speak it in the English language, which is different from American Sign Language. Since hearing aids didn't provide me with much amplification in the early days, my parents took a leap into the unknown once they knew that cochlear implants were approved for kids under 18. They made a decision to have me receive one, and There were no examples or success stories to reference as they made their decision, but we'll explore this topic in another video soon. Stay tuned. After receiving a cochlear implant, my world opened up even more with increased access to sound, and I benefited from incredible sign language interpreters in school until the 3rd grade, which is when I transitioned into relying on just listening and spoken language. From there on out, my brain continued to make more and more sense of sound, and that made it easier to be independent in school and life. Right after I made the transition to just relying on listening and spoken language in school, my family moved overseas to Africa and Europe for over a decade. I am so grateful to have had the chance to navigate different languages, cultures, and accents and sharpen my situational awareness before returning to the U.S. for my undergraduate and master's degrees. I'm able to work remotely, lead teams, and provide strategic consulting without relying on significant accommodations. And I could not be more proud of what I and my fellow friends, acquaintances, and colleagues with hearing loss are capable of accomplishing. When Henry was born, my husband Ian and I were completely taken by surprise that our baby didn't pass his newborn hearing screening. I mentioned earlier that our family does not have any history of hearing loss other than my diagnosis as a baby. I struggled for months and still do with feelings of extreme guilt and self-blame related to Henry's diagnosis. Now Henry's a toddler and he's responding beautifully to his wide world of sound and language. He visibly lights up when his devices are turned on. He listens and responds to the full range of sound he has access to. He's passed all of his early sound book tests. He turns to sound when people talk nearby. He's great at localizing sound. Even when our cat meows 10 feet away, he turns and crawls or walks straight to the cat. He also loves imitating us as he learns how to talk and express himself, and it's so cool to witness this journey happen before my eyes. And as I'm in parent mode, I forget all the time that I myself know what it's like to go through this journey from my own experience as someone with hearing loss and a cochlear implant. Although Henry's hearing loss was a shock to our family at first, we found ourselves in a unique position to support Henry and advocate for hearing loss and access to language and sound across the world because of our deep familiarity with hearing loss. Along with expert interviews and sneak peeks into our day-to-day life, you'll hear perspectives from our family, such as Henry's grandparents, my parents who have normal hearing. They'll be talking about their own experiences raising a child with hearing loss and navigating those very early days of cochlear implants. We are so fortunate that our extended family and close network of friends have an understanding of what goes into helping little ones learn to listen, and you can find our multi-generational insights, stories, and advocacy on this channel, on social media, and on our website dedicated to Henry under the name HanksterHears. We wouldn't be where we are without the critical early intervention therapy support and resources provided by the state of Colorado and groups like the Listen Foundation, and for Henry to have the opportunity to receive bilateral cochlear implants at such an early age. And that's it for now. If you made it all the way to the end with me, thank you very much. Your time is so precious to me, and the fact that you stayed to listen to our story means the world to us.